32 possible destinations. The one you got was at home. Mm-hmm. Congratulations. What does it feel like to be a Cleveland Brown, man?
Thank you, man. Just truly just blessed, really. I mean, growing up about an hour from here, you know what I mean? I mean a lot to the family.
So the family can be here on game day, though. Yeah, that's got to be cool, too.
That's finna be dope. I just already know. I mean, like, I'm going to turn around, and then they all going to be right there. Some going to be sprinkled in over there. They're going to be pretty much here.
Is it training camp yet? No. It's not. It's just May. But with that, we welcome you to another edition of the best podcast available post-rookie minicamp / schedule release edition. My name is Andrew Siciliano. On the other side of your screen or the other headphone, maybe the other ear, not making an ear joke, just, you know, if you're listening in stereo, the dulcet tones and now the guffaw of Jason Gibbs.
I'm done. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah.
Hey, right. Gibby, how are you?
I'm good. Hey, we're almost into OTAs.
Yeah, buddy.
We're a week away from OTAs and then mandatory minicamp. We've only got like 3 weeks left of the off-season program. It has been there and gone. It's been quick.
There is no off-season. Remember that. There is no off-season. So here's what's happened.
This in the info that Kevin Stefanski's assistant sends out from a scheduling standpoint, it is off-season program.
Yes, the OTAs, organized team activities, right? Off-season program. We'll get to that later, right? But they are voluntary OTAs. Mandatory minicamp is in June. We'll do that in a bit. When last we spoke, you and I were awkwardly standing on a field next to each other wearing hats and wrapping up day 2 at that point of rookie minicamp. There was a day 3, a Sunday, media not there. I wasn't there. It was Mother's Day, right? You were with your family. I was with my family. Again, happy belated Mother's Day. And then, of course, the hot takes about which rookie quarterback looked better. Guys, they both look good. They really did. They both look good. And I said that last time. Nothing has changed since they stepped off the field this past Sunday. So let's forget about that for a second. And let's talk about the schedule. Gibby, we have the schedule. What do you think, buddy?
Number one, a little birdie had told me that Ramit was going to be coming to Cleveland for the preseason. And, boy, the Los Angeles Rams have to be going, what did we do to deserve this? After we had to go to Seattle a year ago, The Rams get to come here for a 10 a.m. their time on the West Coast kick for the final preseason game.
The Ramley, and for those who don't know, I worked with and for the Rams for 14 preseasons. And all kinds of other stuff in the community, 14 years. The Ramley, as we call it, is coming to town. And yes, a little birdie with the Ramley did tell me that a couple of weeks ago, and Gibby, I gave you the heads up on that. Look, it's a preseason game. It's the third and final preseason game. I can tell you, having worked with Sean McVay for many years, he is going to run the ball 55 times in that game.
Perfect.
And his goal is to get back to Hopkins as fast as humanly possible. Now, what is also interesting to your point about the long flight is that in years past, when the Rams have taken a long road trip for a preseason game, it usually involves a joint practice. A couple of years ago, with former assistant Zach Taylor, obviously head coach of the Bengals, used to be OC with the Rams. We, meaning the Rams, when I was there, went to Cincinnati and spent a couple of days, actually the same hotel we stayed in last December, and had joint practices with the Rams. I'm sorry, with the Bengals.
There was surprised. Some fracas.
Yes, the fracas, Aaron Donald. Surprised there is no joint practice, but the Browns, as we know, are doing joint practices with the Panthers and the Eagles on our first 2 preseason games before coming back home to wrap it all up.
Yeah, you might as well just come here, spend the entire month of August, because you're going to be in Carolina.
Oh, that is the plan.
You're going to be in Philly. You're going to be in Cleveland, and then it's a whirlwind 4 or 5 weeks.
That is the plan. I'm moving there in August. So
perfect. I look forward to it.
Preseason is let's get out of that. Let's get to the regular season schedule, and let's harken back to 2023. This is a 2023 redo when it comes to week 1 and week 18. You open at home with Cincinnati. You close on the road at Cincinnati. Now, in 2023, that was a Jeff Driscoll game. The hay was in the barn. The Browns are going to the playoffs after beating the Jets on TNF after Christmas. So that game really didn't mean much at all. David Bell got in the end zone, and fond memories. You had to get through that game healthy. That was the only concern ahead of the eventual playoff loss in Houston. It's 2 at the division to open, Cincinnati at home, Baltimore on the road week 2. And then to end the season, it's home for Pittsburgh on the 28th. That's after Christmas, Sunday, 1 o'clock. And then the TBD, because all week 18 games are TBD, at Cincinnati. So 2 at the division to open, 2 at the division to close. Obviously, Gibby, what stands out to me is that 14 of these 17 games are 1 o'clock games. There are no primetime games. The Browns are one of 3 teams without a primetime game. The others are the Titans, who are picking number 1 overall. Obviously, we would have picked 2 overall without the trade with Jacksonville. The Titans, the Browns, and the New Orleans Saints, who had been picking number 9 overall. Now, the Browns, unlike those other 2, have a standalone game. That standalone game is London, which we knew. It is week 5, Tottenham Hotspur Stadium against the Vikings. Your thoughts?
I'm fine with it. I think the first month and a half of the season is going to test this football team.
Yep.
Right off the get-go. I mean, you're talking about the Bengals at home. Now, the good news is, if I'm correct, the Bengals haven't won a season opener since 2021.
Correct, but the Browns no longer own them at home, as had been the case usually.
I could use a Myles Garrett crossover, and then
beat them week 1 in the rain.
Let's
2023 at home.
Yeah, exactly. So, but then on the road, home road, and then you can call it a home game against Minnesota, but it's a road game. It's a neutral site game. Yeah. We're and then there's no bye week after. I think we were kind of hoping selfishly for a bye week.
You and I were early selfishly, but that is a football decision.
And I don't think that's a bad decision. You don't want to take your bye week that early. That's really, really early to be taking a bye.
I'm with you, and internally, and I can't say this for certain because I haven't followed up on it, but there was a thought, I think, internally. Listen, if the London game is week 5, then you don't take a bye. You go home, and the teams have the choice now. Years ago, when the international series began, teams were told, "Hey, if you go overseas, we're giving you a bye." And then when these games got pushed earlier onto the schedule, some teams raised their hand and said, "What if we don't want the bye, like week 6? It's a long season. What if we want to push it later?" And teams were then given the option. So the Browns are like, "We don't want it week 6. We'd like it later." The bye is week 9.
Great.
But yes, you and I selfishly, obviously, would have enjoyed that bye. I was, gonna, go see Normandy. I've never done that. Things like that.
Take advantage of the opportunity. We're flying back. Now, we're on the East Coast time zone. So it's not like these aren't long flights. You just have to get to the airport. And since there's no police escort because we're not the king of England, I mean, we could be kings for the day. I mean, it would be nice. By the time it's going to be the struggle to get to the airport. But once you're on the plane, we're back probably middle of the night. Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not. It would be like going to the West Coast for a nighttime, primetime game, and then flying home. And the problem is 5 days later, you're on a bus to Pittsburgh. Unfortunately, that didn't do you a lot of favors. I really felt like the league would have been nice to have a home game after going to London, but London and the league say, well, your home game is against the Minnesota Vikings. Yeah. So I would have liked a home game, but
I have some thoughts on that. I'm with you. I would have liked a home game. Be careful what you ask for. If you don't want the bye after week 5, that's fine. You don't know what that next game is going to be. Now, they try to do you some favors. Like, for example, if you're a West Coast team, AFC West, NFC West, and you have to play in Europe, a lot of those teams ask, hey, can we play the week before on the East Coast? So in other words, let's say the 49ers, just play make-believe here, wouldn't play a London game after it wouldn't be a London game after, say, a game in Denver where they got to come home, and then a lot of these teams say, hey, send us to, say, like New York. We'll play New York, and then we will go straight over after the game, right?
Sure.
So those requests are often honored. I don't know what the Browns requested on the back end other than no bye. At least you're not getting on a plane. You're taking the bus. You could leave at 3:00 on Saturday afternoon and bus to Pittsburgh. And it's not as bad as a flight. My biggest issue with that one, though, is I don't know if you noticed, the Steelers are going to be coming off a bye.
Correct.
So the Steelers will have been in Dublin, Ireland to play the Vikings. More on that in a second. The Vikings week 4. The Steelers said we won our bye. So the Steelers are going to come home, be rested, and we're going to be coming back trying to fight through everything and then have to play them, and they are rested off an early bye.
The Steelers can do that because they have 4 primetime games.
Yes.
So they're going to have a mini bye weekend from playing on a Thursday night.
Correct.
We don't even get a mini bye week this year.
Correct.
We have 1 bye week for 18 weeks.
Yeah, it's week 9.
They had that luxury.
It's different. Now, look at the Titans. I said the Titans don't have a picking ahead of the Browns at number 1 overall with the number 1 overall pick, Cam Ward, and they're quite upset there in Tennessee. No primetime showcase. Guys,
got to go
have a good record last year. I would argue the Browns didn't have a good record, but there were reasons to explain it, and they are far more likely to bounce back this year. And I would also argue that you could put any AFC North game at a primetime window, and chances are it's going to be good television. Now, Browns and Bengals got flexed out in December last year. I hated it at that moment it happened. In retrospect, it wasn't that good of a game other than Miles' 100th sack. We were freezing because the Bengals refused to put the heat on, but that's another issue.
We learned from that.
It's not about my comfort ever, but like, hey, Bengals, you can put the stinking heat on, but I digress. Where was I? The Titans, they don't have any standalone games, and they have, like us, 14 1:00 games. They have 3 4:00 games. That is their schedule. So it could be a lot worse, period.
Yeah. And it gets a little easier. Like I don't want to say easier, because here's the good news is we have the schedule. Bad news is you're starting to break down the schedule. A year ago, we looked at our schedule, and I think probably 9 out of 10 people would have said, "Oh, we're playing Washington."
Yeah, well, this is an easy.
This is going to be a walk in the park. Yeah. Well, they were a game away from the Super Bowl, so the schedule is on paper. You got to go play the games, and a lot could change things. Maybe the NFC North isn't as good this year. Maybe they take a step back. I doubt that highly, but maybe the AFC East has some issues. With maybe the Dolphins aren't as good as we all think. Maybe the Patriots, still aren't back yet totally with Vrabel. The Jets, maybe they're still trying to figure out their quarterback situation. We've go 3 straight AFC East opponents with a bye in between there. But so the schedule on paper tells you, and based on the record from a year ago, that maybe things loosen up a little bit, lighten up a little bit. But, then Thanksgiving weekend, the 49ers, you have the Titans at home. Then you got to go to Chicago. Then Buffalo comes here. Pittsburgh comes here at Cincinnati. I mean, it gets tough again as we go.
It's tough in the beginning, and it's tough at the end. And I would say this to Browns fans, myself included here, that you're aggravated. You don't have more primetime games, any primetime games. We're aggravated. Everybody is. You have a chance on the back end of that schedule if you get out of the gate well, which I know it's a gauntlet there after you go Bengals, Ravens, Packers, Lions, Vikings, and London Steelers. That ain't easy. But if you can navigate that, and if you can get good in the middle of the season with that bye in the AFC East teams, I'm telling you, you have your chance to flex your way in to big TV windows at the end of the year.
Absolutely.
Whether it's the Bears, the Bills. You telling me that on December 21st, 4 days before Christmas, if the Browns and Bills mean something, that isn't going to a primetime window? It is. So you have the Bears, the Bills, the Steelers, and then who knows week 18 with the Bengals. Love that game to mean something. My money would always tell me right now it's an NFC East or NFC North game that gets into that window, but you never know. You have your opportunity to stake your claim. And I also believe that the lack of primetime games could and should be a motivational factor. It's only May. It's very minor. But, hey, this is what they think of you.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. That's what the NFL thinks of you. You're not worthy of a primetime slot. All right, well, it's up to us to go earn it.
And the one thing that really annoys me here about the no primetime thing, I don't want to harp on it too much because I truly do believe that the Browns are worthy of a primetime slot. I think they put on a good show generally, whether it was the Broncos last year, a loss, the Steelers game, the Snow Globe. We know what happened, and then they got flexed out of the 2 games.
We have ratings. We get ratings.
Exactly. Especially with Miles coming back with the quarterback situation. Like, I really do think they deserved one. Here's what I can't stand. So I mentioned Tennessee, number 1 overall, doesn't have a primetime game. I kind of get it. Number 2, where we would have picked without the trade, we don't have one. Number 3, the New York Giants. Same record, Browns, Titans, Giants, right? 1, 2, 3, same record. Came down to tiebreakers as to how the draft fell. The Giants have 3 primetime games. I know it's New York. This is not like some anti-New York rant. I went to school in New York. I get New York. It's the number 1 market.
Where'd you go to school again?
Exactly. Central New York, not New York City.
Very,
Very,
different.
very, 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 very
Just
different.
checking on you, buddy.
Very different. I get they're going to be on TV. But do you know what the New York Giants are since 2020 in primetime?
I don't.
Okay.
Unwatchable.
They are 2-15 since
Perfect.
2020 in primetime. 2-15. I get it. It's Big Blue. It's a big market. They're a big brand. And they did make the playoffs a couple of years ago. Not last year, the year before. No, with Daniel Jones and Saquon when they won in Minnesota. Okay? 3 years ago? Whatever it was. My point being, they're 2-15 in primetime. You cannot tell. Look, the back pages in New York are like, can Jackson Dart save Brian Daboll from getting fired by November? I don't think Brian Daboll personally should be fired. I'm not advocating for that. I'm saying that's the talk. They get 3 primetime. The Patriots, who won 4 games, who were picking 4th. The Patriots have 3 primetime games as well. Now, one of them is against the Giants, right? So there's a crossover, but I don't get that. But the Browns have a way to fight themselves out of that hole if they want to. So that's that. All right, let's go back and listen to an interview that we did. Full disclosure, this was taped after day 1 of rookie minicamp. Okay? They got off the field. The rookies did. Dylan Samson, 4th-round pick, walked over to me. Love the conversation. I'm very excited about this backfield. I don't know if you could see it in the final cut, but in the background, you may see a rookie quarterback wearing number 12 getting in some extra work after day 1 of work. You got 1 practice in the books. Dylan Samson is an NFL running back. How'd it go?
Yeah, I think it was good, just feeling comfortable with the playbook, getting my feet, wet on the ground and everything. But I feel like it went smooth.
How'd it feel to actually get your feet on the ground to put this new number 2, this 22 jersey on and get out here?
Yeah, it felt great. Those feelings hit you when you take the field. It feels good to, be back in just football clothes again. And now I'm part of a team again, so it feels good.
So much attention on the quarterbacks. Can we talk about the running backs here as well? Because you and Quinshawn seemingly already have something going. Watching the 2 of you with Deuce Staley doing position drills before the game. He was getting on you a little bit, and you two were both giving it back to him a little bit as well.
I think it will be like a great relationship. I feel like in the league, it's competition everywhere, and you want to be the best in the room. But, at the end of the day, we all working towards the same goal. So as many talented and elite people you can have on your team, it makes everybody else elite.
We got to workshop this. There's Thunder and Lightning. There's Smash and Dash. There's Sonic and Knuckles in Detroit.
I know,
so what are you guys going to be?
I don't know. We gonna think about it, come up with it. But, step 1 is got to make sure we, take advantage of camp and everything leading up just to put ourselves in the position.
Have you guys talked about it?
The nicknames?
Yeah,
and stuff?
the nicknames.
It's unspoken. We understand.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you got to let your play on the field figure it out, and then maybe it'll be up to me and Nathan in the booth. Not that I want to give you a nickname.
Yeah, I think that's how it goes. I think if we go out there and, the world sees something in us, they'll give us a nickname, Hopefully it's something great.
Okay, now that we're at it, we're working on the nickname for you guys. Obviously, a lot of eyes on the quarterbacks as well, with both Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. I have my Dylans. I got 2 Dylans, man, already. I can mix them up in my head.
I know.
Early impressions on the 2 of them, and I guess all the cameras, the lights. I'm sure your phone's been blowing up about it as well.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Man, two great guys, having the chance to get to talk to them. Shador's locker literally right across from me, but, both humble guys. I think both ready to attack the opportunity that they have. Felt comfortable with them in the huddle today, made my job easier, just relaying the plays back. But, it's great. There's two great quarterbacks, and they'll definitely push each other. And, you could definitely see leadership traits in them.
How many times, joking aside, has your phone blown up?
It was real hot, after I get drafted, but I kind of try to put it down.
How's Cleveland been treating you? Saw we had crawfish already, right?
That's crazy. I just got here yesterday and, got a chance to meet some, my old linemen. And so that was good. It felt like I was back home as soon as I left. But, the day's been busy, so I can't wait to just get around the city and, really get comfortable here.
Did Wyatt Teller make that crawfish, or did he bring it in?
He made it.
Okay.
He made it.
Was it good?
I'm from Louisiana.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna say it's top tier, but I'm not gonna lie. I would sit there and eat it. Like, it was good. You know what I'm saying? They don't even have all the seasonings here to make it how we make it. But definitely better than some crawfish I had in Tennessee and Whitmore North, which I was like, man, you got it. And he's from Virginia. Hey, he got it.
So you didn't just eat it to be nice to a guy that's gotta clear holes for you.
Man, look, he got a family. He got to clear holes for his family. He don't got to clear holes for me. He got to get paid. So he gonna clear holes regardless. I'm gonna keep it real because, hey, keeping it real just make you better.
You also keeping it real with the legacy of the Tennessee running backs as well. You're from Louisiana, so you're a Saints fan, I assume, growing up, right?
Yes, I was.
Alvin Kamara, 41 with the Saints, but 6 with Tennessee. That's your number as well. What does Alvin Kamara meant to you?
Yeah, just looked up to him. I follow his story since when he was at Alabama, and just the things he went through, going from JUCO to Tennessee, and especially when he got to the league, he happened to go to my favorite team at the time, and just watching him, seeing a player that I could, find some similarities in was very motivational for me. I never like to look up to too many big running backs because it's not my play style. But I saw traits in his game that I knew for sure I could emulate. And just having the chance to go to Tennessee and, it was crazy. I saw him in the airport, but I didn't speak to him because he looked like he was just, minding his business.
You a little kid? When was this?
Nah, I was committed to Tennessee
Okay.
already, but I just was like, man, I'm gonna let him be. And, if the time is right, I'm going to Tennessee. I'll meet him one day. And what happened? Got a chance to, spend a week with him, pick his brain. He gave me game, and he came to my couple games over this year, came to Bama this past year, and it's just cool seeing things come full circle.
That is pretty cool. You said you're not entirely his game, but at the same time, people say you're the home run hitter. He's a home run hitter, but you're gonna be in the AFC North now. So you do have a physical side to your game as well.
Yep.
But people have often said, "Hey, Quinshon's a physical guy. You're the speed guy." Do you like that? Because I would have to think that you don't want to shy away from being physical.
Man, somebody has to be something, Somebody has to be something, but I just let my play speak for itself. I think at running back, in general, you have to be physical. There's not many running backs who succeed for too long without being physical.
Right.
And there's different type of, levels of it. I want mine to speak out because I'm not the biggest running back, but I know the mentality that I take, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get better and make this team go forward.
You spoke earlier today when you met with the media about your why. Dylan Samson, what is your why?
Yeah, biggest is my faith, I truly believe we all put on this earth for a reason, and we're gifted with certain talents for a reason, whether that's broadcasting, sports, even all of us, we have deeper talents than just football, and it's our job to tap into that and use the platform that we've been given to affect, positive change and really be a role model. We have an opportunity of a lifetime to be a role model and lead the charge, and I don't want to take that for granted.
Well said. Love it. Welcome again. Good luck.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Dylan Samson, everybody. We have all year. We have all camp to work on that nickname. We are open to suggestions. Feel free, comment on wherever and however you listen or watch this podcast. You could hit me up on the socials as well. You know where to find me. We need the nicknames. Let it come organically for both Dylan Samson and Quinshon Judkins. All right. Let's also go back and do another rookie interview here. This is way back. This is right after. This is during the draft, actually. This is on Saturday of the draft after Kent McKinley's Harold Fannon Jr. was taken on Friday and made the drive up to the Cross Country Mortgage campus. Again, consider the time frame here. I sat down with him in Berea. Harold Fannon Jr., you had no idea where you would go in the NFL draft. There are 32 possible destinations. The one you got was at home.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations. What does it feel like to be a Cleveland Brown, man?
Thank you, man. Just truly just blessed, really. I mean, growing up about an hour from here, you know what I mean? I mean a lot to the family.
So the family can be here on game day, though.
Man,
that's got to be cool, too.
That's finna be dope. I just already know. I mean, like, I'm going to turn around, and then they all going to be right there. Some going to be sprinkled in over there. They're going to be pretty much everywhere.
I'll be honest with you. That could also be, that's a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm not like making, you love your family, certainly.
Yeah.
Some people say, I don't want to play at home. You're cool with it, though. You like it.
Yeah.
Of course.
Seen the Brown Stadium. It's huge. Like, who wouldn't want to play at home?
And you're wearing the same colors as well.
Yeah, they ain't got to really do too much.
You have a lot of orange in your
transition.
closet as well, coming from Bowling Green.
Yep.
All right, let's talk about Harold Fannon growing up as a kid, because you grew up, as you said, Kent McKinley, an hour down the road. You weren't necessarily the biggest Browns fan. I think your generation, I'm going to age myself right now.
Okay.
Your generation, the younger generation,
Yeah.
you grew up in an era of fantasy football. You can get every game on TV. It's less about teams. It's more about players
Right.
for a lot of young guys. Who are the players in the NFL that you watched a lot growing up and maybe you modeled your game after?
Ooh, so growing up, I definitely would say Le'Veon Bell. I definitely watched him a lot.
Because you played a lot of running back, too.
Played a lot of running back. And then this one might sneak up on you, Antonio Brown. Okay. I thought he was the best player on earth, really.
Well, as you transition to a guy that catches passes for a living, his footwork, the way he was able to get off the line, that's a good guy to look up to.
That's a great guy.
So what do you take from his game?
I think it's just his like ability to just catch the ball. Like, you ever watch him? I remember watching him catch the ball off his helmet. You know what I mean? Late hands. You know, he pretty much got the receiver part packed down. If you just watch him, you know what I mean, and you kind of take his little bits and pieces, you're going to end up, you know what I mean, being a little great.
It's funny you said late hands. It was the first thing that came to my mind.
Yeah, he has late hands.
So for those who don't know, listening, late hands, meaning you look back, DB's got his back to the quarterback. You don't want to put your hands up too quickly. DB knows now either get in there or turn around, go find that football. Your late hands, an advantage against the guy who's checking you down the field.
Right, yeah.
And that's obviously part of your game. Also part of your game, how you, Harold, stepped up when Bowling Green were on the biggest stages. We're talking some of the Brown Scouts earlier today. What you did against Penn State, what you did against Texas A&M, what you did with 17 catches. You and I were talking about this last night in a bowl game. Those big moments meant a lot. What do those big games do to you?
Man, those big games, man, I mean, before the game, it gets me fired up. You know what I mean? The whole week, you know what I mean? I'm really excited, you know. Pretty much, you know, you always told, you know, you ain't really got nothing to lose and you ain't got really nothing to prove. And, you know, you just really just let it fly. You know what I mean? Like, you know, whether I'm right or wrong, you really can just let it fly because everybody think you're supposed to lose. So you just go out there with a full 100% confidence and you really just make them prove it.
This isn't a knock on the MAC at all, but it certainly helped you in this process that against SEC and Big Ten teams, you put on a show.
Yes, sir.
And you've heard that in the pre-draft process, certainly, I'd have to think.
Yes, sir.
How tempted were you to leave? Because, like, Ashton Genty, for example, Mountain West, he had a chance to leave. Quinyon Mitchell last year in the MAC, he had a chance to leave. I'm assuming you had a chance to go somewhere else last year.
Yeah, not really. You know, I had a great relationship with my head coach at the time. I mean, we still do. I mean, I just talked to him yesterday. But, you know, I kind of built that relationship with him. And then obviously, you know, the players was bringing back and, you know, the relationships I had with my teammate and everything that was going on. I mean, I pretty much already knew I wasn't going anywhere.
Stayed at home, and then you get to stay at home here. What were the two, didn't go Thursday, you had to wait till Friday. What was that wait like for you trying to figure out where your journey is going to take you?
I mean, I'm going to be honest, it kind of went by fast. You know, I mean, I'm a really humble person, you know, so I don't, you know, I'm not really looking for anything, you know, I mean, I'm really, You know what I mean? Low key. So, I mean, like, it kind of snuck up on me how quick they called me in my mind. Right? People might think I was supposed to go higher, or yada, yada, this. I mean, I was just shocked, man. Really, I mean.
For the average person who comes out of college and maybe does some interviews and, you know, hopefully you get a pick of a job somewhere and you can figure out where to spend your life. The NFL player, the guy that comes out of college like you, people can't walk in your shoes. Like, what is that like, knowing that it's a TV show for 3 days? Someone's going to likely send you a plane ticket. In this case, you hopped in the car.
Right.
And you have no control over the next chapter in your life. What's that like?
You know, it's kind of crazy 'cause people kept asking me, like, are you nervous? You know, all these questions. And I'm like, no, man, I'm good. You know, I know God got me. My family going to support me. So, I mean, I knew pretty much it was going to go smooth for me regardless.
Let's talk about the number. Greg Newsome right now, we're 0. You look good in 0.
Appreciate you.
Okay. It's not usually a pass-catching number in the NFL. And as I said right now, somebody has it here. Have we thought about what number Harold Fannon is going to be wearing next year?
Nah, not really. You know, I mean, I got to look into it. You know, I got to see, you know, probably get a couple, even try it on, you know, just kind of see how I look.
Do we want an 80s number?
I mean, it really don't matter to me.
Okay.
Man. I feel like every number I done put on, I done, you know, made it to something that somebody else will want.
There you go. That's the right attitude. I was talking to Carson Swessinger earlier, and he wore 49 at UCLA. And I said, I don't like, can we think of a great linebacker that's worn 49? It's kind of an awkward NFL linebacker number.
Right.
And his answer, you know what it was?
What was it?
Because that means no one good enough has worn it yet.
That's perfect.
There you go.
Perfect.
All right. A number to be named later for Harold Fannon Jr., and undoubtedly a number of touchdowns coming up as well. Congratulations again, man. Welcome to Cleveland.
Yep, thank you. Thank y'all for having me.
Gibbe's new favorite player, Harold Fannon Jr., wearing 88. Go back to what Z had been saying. Weapons, 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 weapons. I know the board didn't necessarily fall the way anyone thought it was going to fall, but after watching Quinshon, forget about the quarterbacks for a second, Gibbe, Quinshon, Dylan Samson, and Harold Fannon out there, they found themselves some weapons.
Absolutely. Bolstered the running back room, bolstered the tight end room. I mean, people knew at rookie minicamp that Harold Fannon Jr. was getting the ball, and he still was running routes open and catching the football.
Yep.
Like, he was still making plays, whether there were people on him or whether he found a way to get open on his own and find the opening in the seam. A great weekend for him. The running back room is going to be really, really fun in 2025.
And I'm going to use that to button up one final thought on the rookie quarterbacks here, as well as people overanalyze rookie quarterback performance over a 3-day. Let's just get in the building and get your feet wet and learn the playbook mini camp. Harold Fannon Jr. was, and I know there were a couple of wide receivers signed after, tryout players signed after the rookie mini camp. But for all intents and purposes, the guys that are going to be playing on Sunday, Harold Fannon Jr. was the only one out there for rookie minicamp. So when you consider quarterback performance, consider they all just met a couple of days earlier, and really Fannon, one of those rookies at minicamp and training camp, could just make a huge leap and be playing on Sundays. I hope that does happen, but Fannon was that one guy who was out there. So consider the circumstances when we overanalyze quarterback play. All right. Fun. We're good. All right. That is Gibbe. My name is Andrew Siciliano. Coming up next week, our next episode, we will talk to rookie linebacker Carson Swessinger, number 33 overall, but number 49 in your hearts, and Browns D-line coach Jacques Césaire, his early impressions of the piece of clay that he is molding in the number 5 overall pick, Mason Graham. All right, Gibbe.
Till next week, my friend.
Until next week, thank you for listening, watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, comment, all those things, because not only does Gibby love you, the algorithm and I love you as well. So long.